Hello and welcome to today's video. So this one's a bit of a sequel really to the magical world of vintage paperbacks, and I had a lot of really great positive feedback about that, and collectors were saying to me, God, I absolutely loved that video, it was just superb. Show us some more of your collection. So I have done exactly that. I've been through my collection, I've pulled out a few examples from lots of other series that I collect, which maybe is going to give you even more inspiration on your collecting adventures. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so we'll start off with this one, which is the publisher Foursquare. Now, as we saw in the last video, Foursquare, look at, they got this consecutive number in here. See, 284, 294, 299, and Foursquare were the precursor to the British New English Library, the Nell books, and here's a little selection that I just brought down off the shelf. So we've got the Tarzan, which were Foursquare published almost all the original Tarzan books, and the John Carter books as well. Here's just a war memoir, I did a few of those. Nice early Robert Heinlein. A lot of their covers there, this one's actually signed, it's by Mortal Man's. A lot of them were by that particular artist, and I love that particular edition of Starship Troopers. And another war memoir there. So that's the publisher, Foursquare Books. There's, I think in the numbered series, perhaps if you go up to the 60s ones, just before they became New English Library, I think there's just under 1,000, maybe even slightly more. So be aware of that. Next publisher we're going to look at is Panther Books. So I've got quite a few Panther books in my collection, probably couple of hundred now, and once again these are numbered ones. These are just a few that came off in a wedge here. Lovely Isaac Asimov. I think they did all the early Asimovs, did a few really nice film tie-ins as well. Here's a like a war book again, war memoir. Pork Chop Hill, that was a Gregory Peck movie, that particular one. There he is on the back. And these Panther ones are obviously famous for that Panther logo down there. In the 50s, they did a lot of early sci-fi ones. I haven't got them today. Here's like a comedy one, sort of a cartoon book, which I always pick up when I see those. Once again, these are numbered. You see that on the spine? 881, 882, 883, 89, 884. So that's actually 4 consecutive numbers there in the Panther series. And as you know, I like to collect by publisher. And there's a couple of publishers that I do collect. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, I love to collect old Penguin books. I didn't really show you, I've not really shown you any of these on the channel so far, and these are American Penguin books. They're slightly smaller than the British editions. You can see the compare, they're about a centimetre shorter, but these are really nice. So these are the just the American incarnations. Very, very nice. I like the American ones. I haven't got that many. I probably only got about 30 or 40. Yeah, published 1943. They were overseen by the Ballantines at this time in Penguin's history. Here's another one here, Drawn Conclusion. And they are very nice. Obviously, they don't turn up in the UK very often, but I have found a few over the years. Actually, 3 crime ones there, and then there's a normal, is that fiction, that one? I think that's actually non-fiction, that one, but there we go. So it gives you an idea of the some US ones, and once again they are all numbered, but the numbering I think starts at 500, and there's not that many of these American ones to get. A few other US ones while we're here. So these were published in conjunction with the Infantry Journal. So see down the bottom there, it's the Infantry Journal and Penguin Books, and this is one of their famous ones. I think this is a reprint. I can't remember actually. It's quite common, but I've got 2 editions of it. The other edition, yeah, this is the second. The other edition I've got is the first, and it's got some nice regimental stamps on it. So it's actually, it saw action, as it were. This is a beautiful edition of Steinbeck's The Moon Is Down. I very much like Steinbeck, and I've pretty much got him all in vintage Pan and Penguin now, so I think he's probably due a dedicated video looking at Steinbeck in vintage paperback. Remind myself to do one of those. This is another one here, Fighting Forces Penguin Special, the British Navy's Air Arm. This is illustrated with photos. Not so nice condition, this one, but still lovely all the same. And then they were expendable. Brilliant stuff, isn't it? So those are a few of the Fighting Forces ones. Maybe once again, I'll do a little dedicated video on those because I think they are really, really fascinating. Another series we saw last time were the James Bond books. And I showed you some British first editions and also some like Bond-related books from the 1960s. These are the American ones. So I do also collect James Bond in American first edition paperback and all the related spin-offs as well, of which there are many. So this is the very first Bond novel, Casino Royale, but when it was published in paperback in America by Popular Library here, it came out as You Asked For It. So it's quite an expensive paperback, this one, and really fine copies you could easily find for about £500, but this one's a sort of mid-grade, sort of EG, but just happy to have one, really. Here's another one of those. This is Too Hot to Handle, which was Moonraker when it first got published, and a couple of later ones here. We've got Goldfinger. By this time they'd moved to Signet, and this is the first of Goldfinger in the American edition, and You Only Live Twice. So yeah, love the American Bond editions, and they're equally as collectible in first edition as the British ones. What else have we got here? So this is something a bit more unusual, also American. So these are published by Ballantine Books, and this particular series is the best American short stories. Now this particular series is going to this day, and I believe I have got all the sort of earlier ones that were published by Ballantine Books here. And they're big, thick books, as you can see. And I really like short story anthologies. It's something I've very much been into for quite some time. And these particular ones are, I think, are really, really great. So this was the one for 53, and that was the one for 1955. This editor, Martha Furley, I think she went right up until the 90s editing this series. There's one for 1956. Really, really nice. And I got one more in my collection, which is the one for 1959. These went right through to the 1960s, and I would love to get some more. The 60s ones are really, really sort of typical of their time, and I think they're, well, perhaps not design icons, but they are very, very nice books to have. Okay, so next thing we've got is a few Puffin books. So Puffin were obviously owned by, or they are an imprint of Penguin Books, and I just got a few gorgeous little Puffin books. I read these when I was a kid, and I collect, these are numbered once again. You see there's number 150, here's number 152. I'm collecting the first 330 or thereabouts. This is 155, and one of the most collectible ones is The Hobbit, 161. That was the first time Tolkien's book was ever put into a paperback, and I've got the first 100 complete, and I'm missing maybe about 30 from numbers 101 to 300. So once I've got those licked, I'm going to do a follow-up video, but definitely like my original Puffin storybooks. They're brilliant. Another series I loved when I was a kid was Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators. Who remembers these? Now, I haven't got them all by any means, but I have got these Armada editions, which is the ones that I had when I was a kid. And I've got most of them in first editions, not all of them, but most of them. And this is first published in hardback in 73. This paperback edition first published in 76. That's the first one there. So I've got about the first 24, I think I've got now in first edition, but the series ran into the 40s or maybe even the 50s. Supremely popular, but it's always the first sort of 25 or so that I ever read as a kid. And I've not too fussed about getting the later ones because they don't hold any sort of nostalgia for me. But if you remember the Three Investigators, there they are, like Jupiter Jones, Pete Crenshaw and Bob Andrews. We investigate anything. And they are really, really great fun books, and they hold a lot of nostalgia for me, those books. I read some of them maybe 4 or 5 times. Another series I've started collecting, I haven't got actually, they only went up to, I believe, number 36, and I need just 5 more to finish the set. So I've not read all of these, I've maybe read about 6 or 7, and they're basically fast-paced adult westerns, quite violent, great fun, and highly recommended. If you remember in the last video, I showed you the Edge books by John Gilman. These are George Gilman rather. These are the ones by Ramsey Thorne. That was like a pseudonym, like a pen name, but they are great fun. Lovely uniform jackets, all except the very last one. They're numbered, as you can see. The Americans did that so well with these sorts of series, these men's adventure series. And they come recommended. They really do. As I said, read several of the earlier ones, and they're quite a good laugh. Clint Eastwood, what an actor. Probably his most famous character was Dirty Harry, and I do collect books that relate just to the Dirty Harry series. So those are a couple of movie adaptations, and it even spawned its own series. This is the British edition by Dane Hartman. I forget how many there was. I think maybe 10 or 12, something like that. And I even have some of his westerns. This is the original British movie tie-in to Good, the Bad and the Ugly, Joe Millard. Really, really great. One of my favourite movie tie-ins, that. Absolutely love it. The only thing it's missing is a set of photos inside, but that's the 1967 tandem first. So books related to Dirty Harry films or the Dirty Harry series itself, I also collect because I really like the guy as an actor. Back to more penguins now. So another penguin series I collect. I have shown these on the channel before. This is Penguin Specials, and these came out sometimes bi-monthly during the war, and they were very, very topical on subjects which were sort of in the news at that time. So some copies, these early ones, all came in dust wrappers before paper rationing came in and they had to be dropped. But they sold an awful lot. Every single book of these was like 100,000 copy print runs, sometimes even more. And they're not all of them are dead easy to find, but the majority of them are out there. If you're just patient enough, you can generally pick up really sort of nice copies of these. I've actually got the full set. I've got the whole lot of these now. There's just a couple which were USA only, which I'm still on the lookout for, but they're like 1960s ones, so not overly fussed about those. And sort of on the similar vein, really, another series, well, not a series, but a genre that I like to collect is books on escape. So escape stories from prisoner of war camps, particularly during the Second World War, and to a lesser degree First World War escape stories, I find absolutely fascinating. It goes back to the time when I sort of read the Colditz book, the Colditz story by Pat Reed, and read it and just loved it to death. This is a Faber paper edition, and don't see many. I have not got many Faber books in my collection. They did a lot of poetry and stuff which I'm not really into, but this was one of the good ones, and it's the original Paul Brickell story of The Great Escape, but this is the movie tie-in edition to the classic 60s film. There's Charles Bronson on the front there. It looks like Richard Attenborough. Everyone there except Steve McQueen. You'd think they would have put him on the cover, wouldn't you? Here's another great one, The Wooden Horse, Eric Williams. This is a bit of a classic. This is published as Fontana #2. The tunnel was built underneath the box that they're jumping over there. This is Airy Neve. He was one of the first four Englishmen to escape from Colditz. So the first Englishman, well, there was four of them who got away, but this is his story of it. He became a Conservative politician in the 1970s and was famously killed by the IRA when he was leaving the Houses of Parliament. They put a bomb in his car, and when he went up the ramp, blew his car up. So he got out of Colditz only to die at the hands of the IRA. And here is that original one, which retells Pat Reed and Airy Neve and a couple of others escape from the original Colditz Castle, which, if all goes to well, I shall be visiting next year with a bit of luck, depending on lockdowns and what have you. Here's another odd one that was escaped from my Second World War escape stories, and this was the American edition of Escape from Colditz, and I absolutely love that particular jacket. It's fantastic, really, really good. They got the castle perfect as well. Look at this, it's a quote from Agatha Christie along the top there. Agatha Christie says, "Take my advice, if you want real excitement, by Escape from Colditz, which was the Colditz stories. This is the first of those books, and it is a fantastic read. The last little penguin thing we're going to look at now is something I've not shown any of on my channel, and that's the Pelican books. So Pelican, well, they're still going today as an imprint. I collect the first 600 Pelican books, of which I need about 30 for the set now. They're all numerical, like the original Penguins. There's number 42, number A43 here, Shakespeare, A44. And like the Penguins of the period, they came in dust wrappers. A45 there, so very, very distinctive. The topics very, very much vary. Some of them are incredibly dry, and they're not the sort of book that you would even consider reading now. Some of them are fascinating. I think the archaeology ones are great. The natural history ones are also very, very well put together. And if you collect Penguin books, they're almost like a prerequisite. You have to collect Pelican. It's the law. So next thing we've got are these Muthen sixpennies, which I absolutely love. They're done in the Penguin format, and they were published a few years after the Penguins came out as probably a direct competitor. Yeah, 1939 this first one was published, and this is number 1. I've got as far as number 20, and I haven't seen much past that, and that was dated 1943. Here's number 4 here. Number 6, this one's in a dust wrapper, and I suspect all the early ones came in wrappers. And here is number 12. But as I said, I've got up to number 20, and I hardly ever see them. I pick up maybe 1 or 2 a year, if I'm lucky, and I've still only got about 10 in total. What else have we got here then? So let's see. We got a bit of light sleaze, which should make you laugh. So another publisher. I don't really collect this publisher, but I was lucky enough to pick up a job lot a few years ago. So I've made a point of keeping the collection together as is for the time being. And this is Nightstand books. So this is very like mid to late 50s, sort of incredibly softcore sleaze titles. Some with absolutely ridiculous covers, but written by a whole host of big names, you know. So I think Lawrence Block and Robert Silverberg wrote some of these. There's some Ed McBain. So there's lots of writers who went on to become famous, but this is how they sort of cut their teeth, as it were. And that's why I've picked them up and kept them together. I've got a couple of hundred of those, and those are, so they're midnight readers, and these are Nightstand books. So these are just hilarious, you know. The Evil Ear, Dark Desire, and they were original owner collection basically. This author here, March Hastings. She's very, very collectible. She is March Hastings. Yeah, quite collectible. It's a series that I wouldn't go out to try and find all the different issues because there's so many of them. But what I've got, I'm pleased to have because they are rare. And these are the ones I've got are in really nice high grade and on the whole, and really nice investments. There's some real rarities in there. What's this then? So we got Badger books. Well, I haven't spoken about Badger books for a while on the channel, but a lot of these have this very distinctive sort of yellow colouring, and an awful lot of them were written by the Reverend Lionel Fanthorpe, who went under multiple pseudonyms. Leo Brett was just one of them. So there's Supernatural. This one, it's another Supernatural special, 5 Faces of Fear. Another one then, Lionel Roberts, Last Valkyrie. In fact, that's a Fanthorpe one. In fact, that is signed by him. I've met Lionel Fanthorpe a couple of times, and each time I've gone through the collection, anything I didn't have that I knew was under one of his pseudonyms, I took along to meet and to get him to sign them. And Peltor, that was actually another one of his, the Phantom ones. This is a more recent pickup, I believe. Oh no, must have been one of the old ones because that's signed as well, but it's pretty worn out. But Badger books, boy, they're fun, but quite pulpy. And I suppose they are what they are. Another publisher, and a couple of more English publishers I really like. So I have done a video on these before, and I've picked a few up, and these are Albatross books. So these are what Alan Lane based the Penguin books on. And there were different covers. These came out in 1932, 1933, 1934, but they were never sold in the UK. They were for sale in continental Europe. And Alan Lane was very well travelled, and on his travels in Europe he came across these. And of course he worked for the publisher, The Bodley Head, and he thought, right, I'm going to go back to England. 1935 comes along. He's launched the Penguin books to much critical acclaim, but he really was just copying the Albatross books. Of course, once the Penguins got popular, Collins wanted their own slice of the action, and they invented the Collins Crime Club, and they were hardbacks as well as a paperback imprint. I've got perhaps 100 to 150 of these Crime Club novels. I think they're fantastic. They're very, very difficult to find indeed, and copies do tend to go for quite a lot of money. But I was particularly lucky a few years back and picked up quite a nice run of these, so I'm very, very pleased to have them, full of classic sort of authors, people you'd recognise as Agatha Christie, obviously originally published in hardback by Collins, so it was only right that they were going to publish her in paperback. So yeah, a real noble series of classic crime, that. So I hope I'm whetting your appetite here. I think we'll just stop there, and I'll thank my Patreon channel member subscribers. Here's another British series that I collect on and off, and I have actually just secured a little run of these, so I'm confident I'm going to have quite a few more to show you. But these were published by Hutchinson, and it was their attempt to take a slice of the Penguin sixpenny market, and they did their own sort of run of crime, and they did a few like thrillers, some non-fiction as well, also numbered, so they are quite collectible, these, and I certainly like them. I haven't got anything like as many as I'd like, but you know, you can't buy it all, can you? But they're great, hard to find in nice condition, but I have just secured a little run from another from an original owner collection, which I shall be looking forward to sharing with you very soon. Now I pulled a few odd American ones, which I thought you might like. I'll start with this one, which is actually a British Beacon book, and it's the UK edition to The Body Snatchers by Jack Finney. Quite a collectible little title, this one. It's the one that they based the movie on, and it's quite sought after, that one, so one to sort of keep an eye out for. It I don't think it's particularly scarce in the UK, but it does go for good money. Another classic American one is Reformatory Girls. This is the original Avon edition. It's just a classic sort of 60s title, and quite an expensive book at that. I've got these which are published by Beacon, but these were Beacon Galaxy readers, and these were basically Beacon published sleaze, but they also published books by they took books by well-known authors like this one, Philip Jose Farmer, and put a sleazy sort of twist on it. So I brought down a few here just to have a look at, but I've got about 12. I think I've got the full set. There may be one or two I'm missing. Mating Cry there, that's a nice copy of that one. Poole Anderson, Virgin Planet. These are British ones. You see, they got the TP, which is Thorpe and Porter, and they were basically importing. This is an American edition with a British import sticker on, because it's got the 35 cents on. They also imported American comics as well. Here's another Jose Farmer as well, A Woman a Day. And the very last thing I'm going to show you is something which is not vintage at all, but it's in the vintage style, and that's hard case crime. So if you like a good crime novel, and these are the real creme de la creme of crime, these are being published today, and they're very, very cheap to obtain. I usually pick them up in job lots, so you know, a job lot of hard case crime, and they work out about £2-3 a book, and they've usually got classic new jackets put on them. This one's by Chuck Powell, this Lawrence Block, and without fail, every single one that I've read has been an absolute cracker, so I really recommend these. Here's another one, the Richard Prather. This one's got a beautiful cover by yeah, Robert McGuinness and signature there. I love Robert McGuinness jackets, and his women have got incredibly long legs and arms. It's just fantastic. Richard Stark one here. This is Donald Westlake writing as Richard Stark. Lemons Never Lie. Apparently this is another fantastic one. And another great series. Absolutely love this. Is Max Allan Collins's The Last Quarry. Another superb series with new Robert McGuinness jackets. So they don't all have to be vintage. You could collect some classic paperbacks, and these are brand new, published since the the last sort of 15 or so years. So very easy to collect. So there you go. I hope that's given you a little bit more inspiration about things that you might fancy collecting. I collect all these things and I just love it. But it's very much a personal choice. And as I've always said with collecting vintage paperbacks or collecting anything really, only collect the stuff that you love. And if you don't really love it or you're not going to enjoy it, really what's the point? So yeah, just collect what you love, and ultimately you'll be rewarded. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today. I do hope you've enjoyed this look through a few other aspects of what I collect as a vintage paperback collector. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please hit that subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage paperback content, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon with another video. Bye.